brother did a F1 test. He was a driver in Formula cars, and my dad is a rally driver. So I wanted to be like them. When I was 8 years old, I started to tell them, like, okay, maybe I should try racing because I love cars so much. But they didn't let me until I was 17 years old. So that was a lot of years of me fighting for what I wanted because they didn't want me to race because of the dangers of the sports. You know, they put me into tennis, piano, nothing to do with racing. When I was 17, I met Fernando Alonso, the F1 driver, and I told him, like, okay, I want to be a driver, I want to be like you. And he told me, work hard. It's just that, work hard. So that made a click on my mind to tell my parents, like, why my brother can do it and I cannot. So they give me the chance, and we are here. First, I did 1.5 years of karting back in Uruguay, my hometown. I did a vice championship on my first karting championship, and then I started to step up into Formula cars, Formula 4 in Uruguay with some podiums. Then I went here for the F4 US championship, this one, and then I jumped into F1 Academy, and we are here. Thanks to the F1 Academy, I'm still racing because last year I didn't have the chance to get the budget for doing a championship. So really the F1 Academy opened the door for me. It was a big jump for the little experience that I had to go to Europe with a high level that the other girls had, but it made me improve a lot. We'll see now that I'm P1 on practice, so definitely it worked. Did the F1 Academy, the girls only can do like 2 years of the championship. So I said, okay, I want to fight for the first places. So I need to make more experience, prepare myself for the second year. So yeah, this is my year to prepare myself, get a lot of track time, get a lot of races, and US is like my home also. I feel it like that. So it's a great way to prepare myself for F1 Academy. Well, it's really fun. There's a lot of corners with different directions. It's really technical, NOLA, and I enjoy it very much being the first race weekend of the championship. Really is to carry momentum, you know. Momentum is a lot, and drive it nice. Momentum with a lot of softness and smoothness, let's say, is what you need. I'm hoping to get a podium at least. No, we have been working really hard with the team, and now is the objective. Or no, seriously, the good thing is to get a lot of points for the championship. That is the main goal for this, and keep pushing, improve myself lap by lap. Yeah, I don't know. They always make comments and they laugh about everything. So, but I have the support that I'm P1. So, well, hopefully racing in one of the highest categories, Formula 1, IndyCar. That's my dream, really. I want to become a professional race car driver. That is my ultimate dream. When I was 8 years old, and I'm really grateful to be doing it right now because. Starting at 17 years old, this is not common. Usually guys and girls start with 6, 7 years old, so starting for me so late and being here, getting the chance, it's really a dream come true. So just I appreciate to be here, but I look for more.
And I'm down on the pre-grid with Maite Cáceres as she gets ready, sponsored by the Uruguayan Ministry for Tourism, and ready to go. She's got all her helmet ready, prepared. She's got a really nice umbrella to keep her cool because it is hot out there. But her story, one of few women in this junior category of F4, but you can see her story very similar to a lot, except for the fact that she started late. Her parents obviously making sure that she got through her education and all the rest of it. But watch out for her. She's coming on strong, and it's got good finishes so far this season and is already pushing for the championship overall. Next man up here, I just want to mention Brad Margin from Australia and from New South Wales in Australia. Brad, it's a bit like a normal Australian day. This is hot?
Yeah, it's nothing I haven't experienced before, but yeah, it is warm.
How are you going on in the championship?
Championship, not great. Learning, much better than the championship.
Well, that's exactly. I love the giggle because that's what it says this is about all. This is about learning. You know, we often hear people like myself saying, oh, this championship is straight out of karts. And we say, you got to get into slicks and wings and it all changes. What do I mean when I say that? Well, let me show you what slicks and wings really are. Slicks are the tires. That's exactly what I'm talking about. A slick tire. There is no tread on here. So it's what we call a dry weather slick tire. And how you generate grip out of a slick tire is you put heat into it. More heat you put into it, the grippier it gets. The rubber starts to soften up and sticks to the ground a little bit more. We talk about wings. What does that mean? Well, these are the front wings and the back wings of a car, and that creates, like Formula One, downforce. Here it's minimal, but it's the first time that most of these youngsters, who are all teenagers, have experienced the idea of downforce. The other idea is suddenly you're not just racing in a kart on your own and having a good weekend out. No, you've got engineers, you've got people talking to you, you've got people managing you, micromanaging you at times to try to get the best out of you. So suddenly you go from being a loner on your own, trying to be competitive like you would be in any other sport, to being in a team where you're the pivot in that team and they want the information out of your head so that they can put it out on the track and make you the quickest you can possibly be. Trouble with that is everybody else is trying to do the same thing. So this is a big moment for these youngsters learning their way in Formula 3, on their way to Formula 3. But this Ligier Junior Series 4 F4 is where it all starts and where real motors racing and where the real superstars of the future are made. You heard Maite Cáceres say she's met Fernando Alonso. Well, that's where all these hopefuls want to be, either in IndyCar or in Formula One. But it all begins here, right here in F4. They're about to go out, the engines are fired up, so let's get back to the booth and go racing.
Well, you see that, ladies and gentlemen, that is how you do a proper grid walk. Jonathan Green there showing us how it's done. So much fun. The Ligier JS F4 class. This is a class that just kind of came out of, these are basically last year's F4 cars. And the new F4 cars, the new Ligier F4 cars, have a halo. These do not. You can see there with Bacon Zelenka. There it is. And now these are Mountune prepared power units in these Honda engines. But Mountune is the power unit provider. They basically service the engines for these cars. But I have a very special guest in the booth with me, Pablo Benites Jr., who just got out of the FR race just a few minutes ago. And did you come from the F4 side into FR? Did you go right into, or sorry, you got out of the F4 race, so you didn't have to do any of this. So sorry about that. I just totally messed up. I'm still learning to go from Ligier JS F4 to F4 to FR. We added another rung to our ladder. So tell everybody about the F4 race that we just saw and the difference between this Ligier F4 and the new F4.
Well, the new F4, of course, it's way faster and has way more grip, and with aero, and also the engine has way more power. I also started on the JS F4. I did last year a couple of races. It was the F4 US Championship. And then I did NOLA in JS F4 this year.
Nice.
And then we decided to switch to F4 because we saw a lot of potential in the car, and I really loved it, so we decided to switch.
And Ligier is right now working tirelessly to build more and to deliver more of these new F4 cars with the halo. That's really the biggest delineation that you can see. There is some aero changes, the wheelbase a little bit different tires, but that's, to me, as somebody who isn't as familiar, the halo really the huge improvement, especially for safety. But so you did the JS F4 race with us at NOLA, and that was super competitive. We had some great races there. So what are you expecting to see today here in the Ligier JS F4?
Well, it's going to be really interesting because the field is really, really tight. So we're going to see some great racing, of course, with Kekai, Teddy, Bacon, also Maite. They were really close in qualifying. So I think we're going to have a nice fight up top. So it's going to be really interesting.
Well, it should be great. While we wait for Jonathan Green to hurry back across here. We do have Kekai first in number 29, starting first on the grid. Do you know how to say his last name?
Hauanio, I think.
Okay, we'll go with that. Kekai Hauanio. Teddy Musella is second in the number 25. Bacon Zelenka, number 3. Number 45, starting third. Maite Cáceres, who we just heard from SpeedTour Stories from the Paddock, starting fourth. Brad Majman in fifth. Sorry, I'm not totally familiar with the Ligier JS F4. Jake Pollock in sixth. Drew Such in seventh. Hayden Bowlesby in eighth. Dimitri Nolan ninth. Roman Felber 10th. Rafael Wallace in 11th. Cash Felber 12th. And Jacob Lauter 13th. Mid-Ohio is a very technical, intricate circuit, very difficult to learn. What would your advice be for these drivers?
Well, they have to be real careful because there's a lot of elevation changes. So you have to be careful when you apply power for the rear nut to snap. And it's a really technical track. It's fun though. It's fast. There's only 2 really overtaking zones, which is turn 2 and then turn 4. But I think if you get a really good exit by turn 1, you can dive at turn 2 and then try to hold it, by turn 4. Or you could also wait it and then try to overtake at turn 4. And then the other parts of the track is really, really hard to overtake unless, well, you have a lot of determination to do it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're about to see something we didn't get to see in your race. In the F4 race, we're going to do a standing start with the Ligier JS F4. They're going to do a standing start, which means just like Formula One, just like FIA starts, we've got 2 flaggers there at the front of the grid. We have a light gantry. When the lights go out, that's when you go. You got to do this at NOLA. So how do you explain the standing start and what you're thinking here as a driver?
I love standing start. It feels amazing because it's the closest you can to F1. So I really like it. Also, you feel all the adrenaline. But the starts, rolling starts are fun also. But I hope we can do standing starts in the future with the new F4 car. But for safety right now, we're doing rolling starts.
And away we go then, and on cue, look at this. Away we go to the first corner, and a nice start by the 29. Lovely start, and away they go. And Hauanio, the pole sitter, takes the lead, and that was nice and clean too. Teddy Musella chases him down. Bacon Zelenka right there with him, the local man from Illinois. I say local because Illinois is not that far away. And then we've got into the keyhole and out. Everybody nicely, cleanly through. Good, clean start. What were conditions like for you when you were out there?
It was really good race. Also, I mean, the heat was way worse than in qualifying.
Right.
So we had to set up. We had a setup for a colder track. So we were struggling with the rear tires. We're gonna change that for tomorrow because when it gets really hot, it's really hard to,
Well, we saw you that one slide that caused that incident. You could see how quickly the car can just get loose, and you weren't doing anything wrong.
Well, yeah, we went side by side, and I clipped the curb because there was not much space, so I clipped the curb, and then the rear snapped, and unfortunately I hit him. But of course, there was no intention of doing that.
No, of course not. Now, here we go, 28 minutes to go, and already the leader's starting to pull away. They can see from the drone here, we've got, 4 car lengths between the leaders and the third place, Bacon Zelenka, and he's lost the front of his car, or at least it looks as though, no, it's just the colors of the car. I just thought for a minute he'd lost the nose cone, but he's fine. But it is the 29 leading the way. Kekai Hauanio in second place, Teddy Musella. Both of them have had good results already this season. And then through comes the 95 of Brad Majman, who I spoke to on the grid from Australia. And do you know these guys well? Do you work with any of them? Or
well, yeah, Teddy is my teammate. So
right.
I really know them. I also know, Kekai, he's a really good friend of me. Maite also, Brad. Also, Cash and Roman Felber. They're 13 years old. Yeah. And I love them. I get confused because they look the exact same. So,
but, what I was saying on the grid just a moment ago, I don't think people realize you are just teenagers, all of you, and learning slicks and wings when you've got, it's not just like you getting your head around it. You've got to put input. You've got to basically be the teacher and the pupil at the same time. You've got to teach the people around you what the car's doing and why it's doing this to you and why you're not happy with it. And yet you've got, it's a really busy time. It's not just racing a car and having fun, is it?
No, there's a lot of learning into it, and also it's really hard to learn how to express how the cars feels, because you have to express it to your team so they can change the setup or do work in the car. So that's also a hard part of the racing. That's how you differ a really good driver with a, let's say, average driver.
Yeah, and I think it takes time, because in karting, your sole thing is it's all about you and how good you're getting better, and only you can judge that because you're the only one putting the inputs in, whereas this is a team effort, and it could be 5 or 6 people all having a part to play in making you quicker.
Yep, exactly.
So the race settling down now, and this each and every race a 30-minute race, but once again we've got some good little pockets of racing. Cáceres then just popping out, looking for a way past the Uruguayan. Already done the F1 Academy, did 1 season, and she said she's enjoying this and learning more because it's not coming at her as quickly. And so actually really enjoying racing here in F4 because of the fact that she's able to learn quicker, whereas she went right up the international field very quickly. I met her here actually last year, and they were just starting out in this car, and then they did a bit of F1 Academy. That's 2 years ago, it should be. And now she's back here, and I think she's actually very, very good because, as you heard, she only started late. Most of the drivers in this championship will have been karting since they were, 5 or 6, 7 years old, and yet Maite started quite late. Here's another look at a replay. And you can see first and second well ahead, but there's the pass. And that was nicely done. Not a lot of room there, but he did it well. Teddy Musella taking the lead then. And we saw it from above. Much better way to see it. What's it like to overtake here? You've got to be careful of not going on the grass because it gets very sticky and you pick up grass, and that's just added heat to the engine, isn't it? So you've got to be forceful but not too forceful, right?
Yeah. I think the 2 safest spots, as I was saying earlier, it's turn 2 and then turn 4. You can overtake like Teddy did, but it takes a lot of, courage to do that.
Yeah, no kidding. There's a lot of courage involved in this sport, and but it's not wasted courage, it's thought-out courage. Oh, a spinner. That's the number 2 of Roman Felber, and he's from Akron, Ohio. And that's Roman Felber. Cash Felber is his twin brother, and both teenagers from Akron, Ohio, but a spin, and he's very frustrated with that because the car stopped. Nothing worse. That could bring out the safety car. And I suppose if you're in the lead at the front there, like Teddy just done, you've done all the hard work, the last thing you want is to see another safety car. But we'll see. They might be able to get him going in time, or at least push him back out of harm's way. We're watching Ju Such, currently in 5th position for the Such Racing Honda team. Number 28, down in 5th as we see, behind Cáceres. And she's chasing down the green and white of Bacon Zelenka from Illinois. And in comes the 5. That's Dimitri Nolan from Crosslink Kiwi, and massive team Crosslink. And it was interesting, I was talking to Jet Bowling earlier, saying, is it a disadvantage having so many in a team? And he goes, not really, because we're all sharing data. And so you can actually learn more with 10 drivers, let's say. It doesn't matter what category. You're all dealing with the track and dealing with the, the situation at the time. So, yeah, a lot to be learned. Now, under pressure now, Zelenka from Cáceres, making her presence felt. And she's been there or thereabouts throughout this season. 9 rounds in. Where would you make your move if you were Maite right now? Or even this man, number 95?
Well, they're going right now to turn 4, so yeah.
Yeah, here's an obvious overtake. Yep, here we go. So here's what you need to do. You need to get your inside up there nicely, but now you need to make it stick, because otherwise you give him a chance, the 28 that is, of coming back on the inside, and he's done it right. He's just kept his nose. And now the overtake is complete, but it really is a 2-corner overtake.
Yep. It was a beautiful, beautiful overtake.
Yeah. Now Cáceres wants to do the same thing on Zelenka, and that's the first shot above on the right-hand side of your picture. You can see Marta's car, the number 6, in the pink and white, versus the green and white of Bacon. And he's an aeronautics study at college as well, is Bacon, and really interesting story. So he's got rockets to back up on. He's the rocket man, we're calling him. But he's got that to back him up. If it doesn't work out in motor racing, he's going to go into aeronautics and become an astronaut. Well, maybe not an astronaut, but he'll certainly be involved in the physics of putting a lot of energy and power into a small object. So you could almost say that what they do at NASA is very akin to what we do here in motor racing, packing energy into a small place and making it work. Now we go back to another battle between Jake Pollock, and that's one of the stalwarts who's been around for a few years now, Hayden Bowlesby. Been watching his races for the past few years. Hayden currently in 8th position and chasing down the man in front of him, Jake Pollock for Jensen Honda. So you know some of these guys, as you say. Have you all got similar ambitions, or do you all want to do different things? Do you all want to go in Indy or Formula One, or?
Well, it depends by the driver.
Yeah.
I think if you're doing an FIA championship or the JS F4, which preps you for the FIA F4, I think your main goal is to go to F1, of course.
Sure.
Which is everyone's dream, and I think it's really hard, but it's not impossible. So with a lot of hard work and talent, you can really make it.
Yeah, that's the game. And you're listening to Pablo Benites Jr. from Port Orange, Florida, trying to chase in the footsteps of a Logan Sargent from Florida himself, currently in Formula One. But there's many have come before, and many will come after. And there's a few that have come through these ranks, like Kiffin Simpson for one. Kirkwood has come this way. Charlie Eastwood has as well, but Kirkwood, of course, came through the ranks of F4 and F3, as Dakota Dickinson did. Josh Day, a winner, another Australian. We've got several here this weekend, have all been part of learning their way in F4. And there's no question with a race director like my good man. Oh, I'm just watching where the changes are. Such and Bowlesby, that's who I was watching at, but we're still watching this battle for 3rd position. And Cáceres still looking for a way past. Can't do anything at the moment. So what are you going to change, if anything, for the next races tomorrow? You've got 2 races tomorrow, yeah?
Yeah. I think we're going to do some changes maybe to the setup, because as I said, we had the car set up for a colder track, and it got super hot, so I was really struggling with the rear grip in the back. So yeah, we're probably going to work on that and work on some driving also, because it's a really hard track, and there's a lot of tips or different lines. There's a lot of different lines that impressed me. A driver can be fast by doing just completely different lines than you, and that's really interesting.
What do you think? Ooh, somebody going wide and out of the way, offline anyway. What do you think about the difference between the 2 cars? He's coming into the pits, that's why. But to drive the 2 different cars, the new one and the older one, what do you think?
Well, the new car has a lot of way more bottom power, so you have to be real careful with the throttle input.
Okay.
Because if you go too fast on throttle, you can have wheel spin. And the JS F4, that was way easier, because you can, let's say, slam on the throttle and the car will be safe.
Yeah.
It would feel safe. With the new F4 car, it's really tricky, so you have to work on that. And also, it's super fun.
Yeah.
I love the steering wheel. It has a lot of buttons and lights.
You got to learn them all, though. That was Jacob Lauder, who we saw there in the 72 from Oklahoma. Just got a wheel onto the grass there, but managed to grab it all together and carry on. Yeah, those steering wheels get more and more complicated the closer you get to Indy or Formula One, and it looks as though it's game over for the 27 of Rafael Wulitz, the Polish driver with the American license, but he's got the Polish flag, as you can see, on the car. Chasing the likes of Robert Kubica, who made it all the way to Formula One, one of the few Poles that has ever done so. Very few Polish drivers, to be fair. But the ones that have made it have been very good indeed. Now, Musella building on that lead. The gap is 2.5 seconds now as he increases that lead over the pole man, Hauanio, who lost out after a great overtake, as you mentioned. That really came from a nice and a long way back, but it was nice and decisive and clean, and he made it stick beautifully. So well done to him. Now the 72 has got going again. And here's Cáceres making her move on the 28. And this is for 4th position, and she's made it. Good overtake, and another good position if she can hold it. Very confident driver. You can see that she's had a few years at the wheel of these single-seaters. Yeah, I spoke to her and her father when they first moved over here to start racing, and obviously she was inspired by him being a driver himself, and I think he was a bit cautious at first, thinking she wanted to go to motor racing because it's just not a pursuit very often in Uruguay. It's more of a soccer country. But she was determined and dogged, and I think her advice in that piece was to say, hey, get in before I got in, get in early and learn it quickly, because I'm kind of chasing it now. But when did you start? When did you start getting serious? How old?
Around 3 years ago, I started with karting, and well, when we moved here to the U.S., I loved karting. And
from where?
From Argentina.
Okay.
Argentina, yes. My dad used to race when he was young, and also he had a team. So, well, of course, he's the team owner of Scuderia Bill now.
Yeah. And he was he a golfer?
Yes.
A professional golfer,
Yeah,
that's right.
He did actually a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he sounded like a busy guy. I was reading his profile on the website this morning going, wow, this guy's done the business. But a great inspiration, because he knows the discipline of international competition. He knows the discipline of learning how to be a professional sportsman. So a great guy to have in your corner.
Yeah. He's also sometimes a little, a little too competitive. But
well, of course. Yes, I have a father very similar. Nothing wrong with that. That does you no harm. It's frustrating sometimes, but when they put you in a situation like this where everybody's competitive, it actually says, I'm glad I learned that. So at the moment, this is a cakewalk for the 25, the all-red number 25 of Teddy Musella in Scuderia Buell. And this is going to be a good result for him. Got a 3-second lead now with just under 15 minutes to go in this one. Now, Argentina's a country who's had some great motor racing drivers over the years.
Yeah, really good drivers like Rittman, and then
Fangio,
of course.
Fangio, yeah. Antonio, what's the rally driver turn, rally cross turn now? He's racing, he did Le Mans last weekend. Antonio Lopez, trying to remember his name. Doesn't matter, it's gone out of my head. Don't worry.
Pechito Lopez?
Yes, that's who I'm thinking of. Exactly. But yes, some good ones over the years. Not enough, I don't think. I hope Argentina does start churning out some more youngsters, or bringing them up here, like yourself, and coming up and racing in the States. Because I think the learning curve is quicker here, and I think it's hard when you come from a country of small racing. And what I mean by that is it's a big country, Argentina, but it's soccer mad. Everybody's playing lots of different sports, but motor racing is quite small, even though you've got a very, very strong community of racers.
Yeah. In Argentina, same as Uruguay, the soccer is really important.
Sure.
So all the kids just want to play soccer. So, but there's a lot of racing, really good race drivers, but there's no FIA or any big competition. So if you want to improve a lot and get really good at it, you have to go to another country.
And Cáceres here on Drew Such, almost at turn one, but he cuts the nose off and doesn't give her a chance. And now the next opportunity's at the keyhole. They go line astern, and that with the downforce gives them a little bit of extra power perhaps coming into this corner. Can't make it stick just this time, and now it's a three-way battle, and a good one too. Now the long back straight. This is the best opportunity to set yourself up for an overtake. Hayden Bowlesby looking for the same thing, but Cáceres has already made the move early, and she's got past, and that is great racing, because that actually gets the job done. Bowlesby's gone with her way before this turn in, which is turn 4. And yeah, I think there may have been a problem for Marshman there, there, because he did drop off quite quickly there, and she made it easy for her to get through. Bowlesby doing the same.
Yeah, it looks like he had an issue in the car because I don't see him anymore.
No, he's just suddenly disappeared, hasn't he? Oh, there he is, back there, yeah. So this race changing, but Musella, no change at the top, 2.8 seconds, 12 minutes to go. So were there any parts of the track that you're still trying to grapple with, trying to get better at, or you struggle with being fast through?
Well, turn 2, it's really tricky because it's downhill. You can't tell from the car.
You can't tell on the pictures, can you? No.
You can't tell, but it's when I did the track walk, I was like, wow.
Well, why don't you tell us? We're coming up to turn 2 now. We're coming through turn 1, and it's called the keyhole. But why? Tell us as we prepare to come into it why it's tricky.
There's many different lines. You can take it like a V. You can do it like a U. So it's really hard.
Yeah.
Because some people brake really deep and then they sacrifice a little bit their exit, or some of them you can brake earlier but then have a better exit. So it depends on the driving style also. Some aggressive drivers like to brake super deep, and then it just depends.
Yeah, and if you slow yourself down and go too deep into turn 2, you lose a lot of drive on the exit, and it's the key corner on this track to get good power out of, because it's the longest straight coming up and the best overtaking option straight afterwards. So yeah, it's all very well to get it all locked up and up the inside and very late at turn 2, the keyhole, but that can be detrimental to the exit and therefore the drive down the back straight. So yeah, at first it doesn't seem that hard when you're watching it on TV, but folks, when we start talking like this, then you suddenly start to realize that there's a lot more to it. And when you see a racing driver make a mistake, it can be for so many different reasons. It's starting to get a good battle here.
Oh, I imagine.
From the inside, go on! Can't quite do it. And this is good defensive driving from Zelenka, though. Looks in the mirrors again. I remember meeting the Zelenkas early on last year when they were literally just a two-man team, he and his dad, and putting it all together. It's not that different these days, but they are part of a bigger team, so they do get the expertise. But it's good to see them making their way, and effectively he's got 3 or 4 jobs trying to make ends meet, make his bacon, so to speak. And yeah, good luck to him, that's what I say. And now this is as close as the 95 has been. He's really tucked in here. How close he wants to be, I don't know, but he jinks out now. Ooh. And Brad Markham from New South Wales gets it done round the outside. That's not often you see that.
That was a really, really good overtake.
Yeah.
Well, the banking helps you there because you can brake super deep and use the banking to help you turn. So it's hard, but it's easier to overtake around the outside than other turns, you know.
Yeah, I saw Adam Andretti do it in Trans Am a few years ago, and I'd never seen anybody do that move. And obviously it's well established from amongst the racers, but I hadn't been coming here that often, and I realized the advantage that if you can get your nose ahead, it gives you a huge advantage into the next complex, because you're on the inside. You go from the outside to the inside within a matter of seconds, don't you?
Yeah, and also the other ones, like, it's downhill also, so being on the inside is really important for traction.
Here we go again. Marshman. Lovely move, and that is textbook, folks. That's exactly what they teach you. Clean, do it quickly, do it with no fuss, don't linger, be decisive. Ooh, there's a bit of a moment. Oh, it's a pair of them again. Different incident, though.
Oh, now it's Bacon's turn.
Yeah, now he's going to have a go. Now he's going for he's doing a similar thing, yeah. Here he goes. Now let's see how he defends. Well, he's trying the same. If anything you can do, I can do it as well. Here comes Bacon, but he hasn't got not as much impetus. And so that's good defensive work by the 95. Now Bacon tucks himself up in again. Zelenka trying every which way to get past, but that just shows you how to defend well in that same instance. If you like, Zelenka could perhaps learn from that what he didn't do right was defend as well as
spin by Brad.
What on earth happened there? That was a weird one. Well, he either touched the white line or got a wheel on the grass, but yeah, we saw it very, very distinctly there. He just went round on his own, and that battle now, Zelenka on his own, is over as they come into the carousel again. 7 minutes to go.
Yeah, it looks like he touched the dirt out of turn 9.
Well, that's all it takes here, and that's the one thing that is very obvious about Mid-Ohio when you come here for the first time, is just how close the grass is to the track itself. There's no real margin for error, because especially if it's raining here, it's not obviously at the moment, but might be tomorrow. Here's another look at it. Now, see if you see, Pablo. Yeah.
Yep.
In fact, it wasn't even the grass. He was just on the paint on the yellow, wasn't he? Just went a little wider than he might have wanted to.
Well, that's a blind corner, so
yeah,
it's really important to have a lot of confidence. But also, if you go wide, it's really hard to save the car there.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, you're flat out through there. So the 83, Hayden Bowlesby now trying to hold off the man behind him, and that's Jake Pollock in the number 7. Brad Margeman's dropped down to 7th place, just ahead of Drew Such. Cash Felber has recovered to 9th now. Jacob Lauter, who also put a wheel on the dirt earlier in the race, 10th at the moment. Roman Felber, he's had no problems, but he's down in 11th. Rafael Wulis of Poland down in 12th, having rejoined after having that pit stop himself. Dimitri Nolan rounding out the top 13. Now, the gap has come down here, Pablo, down to, 1.8 seconds. So Hauanio is trying a last gasp effort in the last 5 or 6 minutes to see if he can grapple the lead, because it was, 3 seconds, and now it's 1.8.
Yeah, he's really showing some great pace. Also, I don't know how Teddy is managing the tires, because there's 3 races.
Yes,
so if you overkill the tires, you're gonna regret it in race 2 and 3. Also, well,
so you get 2 sets a weekend, right?
Yeah, you get 2 sets.
2 full sets.
You use one for qualifying, and then usually you put the second one in race 2.
Yeah.
But it depends on what the strategy is, and also the rain. Tomorrow is going to rain, so it seems like it.
So you might use. Okay, so if you're expecting rain, you might say, there's no point in using the new tires on race 2 because I'm going to have wets, or possibly.
Yeah. So maybe some people put new tires or put new tires for race 1.
Yep.
Have good pace, and then if tomorrow rains for race 2,
you're in good shape. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Also, because it decides the lap times decides the grid for tomorrow.
Right.
So right now by lap time, I think Kekai is the fastest.
Yeah. So he'll be pole again, right?
Yes.
127. Yeah, actually 127.6 is his best. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that is quicker. 127.8 by Musella, the leader. So that will put them on the front row.
Yeah, they created a big gap with Zelenka, 13.9 seconds.
I know, it's massive. Really impressive.
Yeah, they have some really good pace.
No kidding. Well, they're in a world of their own. When you're watching the Ligier JS F4 Series, the Junior Series 4F4, the older car, but still just as nifty as ever. Great design, and now uniform. F4 is the first ladder to motorsport success in single-seaters, and you go from here hopefully to FR or potentially to another similar series. But then again, lots have gone into other series like sports car racing or Trans Am or whatever you might need. Ernie Francis did it the other way. He's now in Indy Next, or was, and was a big 7-time Trans Am champion here in Trans Am in our paddock. And the safety car possibly coming out, the Ginetta with the lights on. Now that means something's happened. I'm just looking down to see who's stuck, if anybody.
Yeah, full course.
Yep. Now, where is that?
I'm trying to see which car.
Yeah,
it's a Jensen car,
yeah,
but I can't see the number.
Well, we'll soon find out. So full course yellow, and just at the worst time too, because
it's Cash Felber.
Oh, it is.
Yes,
Cash Felber. Okay, the man from Akron, Ohio. Here's what happened.
Yep.
Now, how does that happen? Just turned in too quick, or too strong on power?
Well, probably he had a little bit of oversteer and just lost the rear.
So we're under caution here again in Mid-Ohio, And what was going to be an interesting last few minutes looks as though it could well end under caution, because I don't think we're going to get cleared up in 2 minutes. Similar to our previous F4 race earlier today, the car slowed right down. But as it stands, Teddy Musella will be the winner. Kekai Hauanio will also be pole as well as second in this race, but pole for the second race. And like I said, possibility of rain tomorrow, so that will make things interesting. And Bacon Zelenka will take third place ahead of Maite Cáceres of Uruguay in fourth, and Hayden Bowlesby in fifth. Jake Pollock in sixth. Brad Margman, who we saw disappear for a while, has managed to hang on to seventh place. And there is your leader. Yeah, he had a good result. He's had a win already, as Musella. So,
yep. And if I'm not wrong, as it stands, if he finishes first, he should
take the lead.
Yeah, take the lead of the championship.
Yeah. Still a long way to go yet, points matter, and the chance to lead a championship at any time is confidence building at its best. It's very, very good and important for these young drivers, especially at this age. So we're under caution, and we're just checking the flags. I can see at my commentary box the yellow flag is unfurled, but as you can see, the clock is ticking down, and I think by the time we get round to the carousel, which is about a minute away, they'll be getting the other flag out to say, okay, that's enough, boys. Let's live to fight another day. And these boys and girls will get a chance to race in race 2 and race 3 tomorrow. Still an FR race still to come in today's coverage, though, so don't go away. The big FR boys will be in action. And there he goes. Yeah, he's got it.
Yep.
It's a checkered flag yellow, as we call it, or a yellow checker, which means that he takes the checkered flag under caution, but it doesn't matter how you take it. He'll be more than happy. He got a cool-down lap as well.
He was celebrating there.
Yeah, he got the celebrations in. He knew. Yeah, it was as soon as I saw that it was like over 2 minutes, there was no way under caution, because you're doing, what, 4-minute laps at that point. So, yeah, a sort of nice reprieve for the 28. But it's a win then for Teddy Musella, and I think your calculations are right. That should move him into the lead of the championship. So we're going to have a cracker day tomorrow with Kekai Hauanio trying to gain back that championship lead, the pole man, and he'll be pole for the second race. Zelenka on the podium again, and he too very much in contention at the moment. And lots of incidents, lots of action in our race for the first time for the Ligier JS F4 Series.
That was an interesting race.
Yeah. So what have you got to do now in preparation for what you're doing? Have you done any data and all that kind of stuff? How much time do you spend on it?
Well, I didn't do any data or video because as soon as I got off the car, I had to come here to the booth.
Sorry about that.
So, yeah, my coach is probably mad at me right now. But
oh, okay. Well, don't worry. You're doing the other side. It's all part of the job, you see. You got to do the PR, you got to do the marketing, and you got to sell yourself. So you're doing part of your package, but he can get you ready. What do you want to look at? What do you want to learn tonight?
Well, I want to see on the video. I want to show him because, as I said, my rear was really, really loose. So I want to see if it's any setup related or any driving related. Also, I was overheating the tires because
and that could cause the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna work a little bit on the setup, maybe tire pressures also. So yeah.
So when so if it's going, do you put more air in to try and straighten that out?
Well, it depends.
What's causing it?
yeah. It depends on what's causing. Yeah. So we have to find out first that.
Yeah. And then we can decide. So it's a tricky art, this game of motor racing, folks, as you can tell. And great to have Pablo Benites Jr. here with us to take us through some of the action of the Junior F4 Series, a car he's driven himself and has now moved on to the brand new Ligier F4. But as you can see, they come into the paddock under caution, but it doesn't matter to Teddy Musella because that has been a wholesome victory here in mid-Ohio, in the Midwest, in the heat. And he'll take it.
Look at the celebration now.
Yep, in they come. It's a cool little victory circle, actually, to drive straight in there like that. And the others file back to their garages. And just the top 3 get to stay and celebrate. It's nice. Get a nice view of how it's set up here. There's the main tower where the media center is. John Phippen and his team working for the track, putting it out.
What does it mean to be built with Summit? It means turning some rust into rolling artwork. Built with Summit means you're making something that was already fast, even faster. It means that your project will be on the road or track long after you've bolted it together. And Built with Summit means you're doing it with in-stock parts, fast shipping, expert advice, and the best prices. Summit Racing Equipment. Let's build it together. SummitRacing.com.
Hungry for SVRA action? Well, the best way to enjoy classic auto racing is with a delicious classic from Mission Foods. Green flag your race-watching snacks with Mission's mouth-watering race day recipes. Try some of our tasty tacos, piled high nachos, fresh chips with guac, and more. So gear up your ride and fuel up those stomachs with delicious Mission Foods. Now that's too fast, too tasty.